Hi, I'm Mark Stevens, author of Government Indicted, the website, of course, markstevens.net, and the radio show, The No State Project. We're live most Saturdays, and we'll be starting on Wednesdays. It'll be a YouTube stream right here at the channel, No State Project. And man, I really like the success stories. I like these videos a lot. There's a lot of reasons why, these are very worthwhile doing. But before I get into that, I want a big congratulations, and I'm not going to reveal the name of the individual who had this happen, but big congratulations to them, and thanks to Ginger in Texas, who's been on the show before, for providing me with the documentary proof. Yeah, I know I buzzed my hair. It's at that really awkward stage. I can't do anything with it just yet. But anyway, it happened in the Bexar County Justice Court, and I'll put that up in just a moment. Just to give a little background, Ginger's friend was accused of violating the sacred writ. And why do I say sacred writ? Because there are people who call themselves government, and they're apologists and believers who believe that, and they'll tell you that their rules are magical. They won't use the word magic, but they said that they apply because they say so. They actually argue that their rules are special and different from rules you and I would make because they apply because they say so. They'll actually say, it's a matter of law, it doesn't require evidence. Well, if you have no evidence, then your claim is BS. That's the way logic works. That's the way the rational mind works. And that's why they have to have a prison system. That's why they'll say, well, the evidence our laws apply are the fact that we can throw your butt in jail. And look at all the people in prison. That's evidence. No, it's just evidence that you're putting people in jail. So she was accused of violating the sacred writ in Texas. And so she filed, based on now she's physically in Texas, their rules apply. That's how they, territorial jurisdiction. That's the basis, that's the foundation of the charge. You violated our rule. We're not going to prove that it applies to you, but we're going to prove you violated it. Well, that's again, if you don't have to prove the rule applies, you can. It's easy to prove someone violated your rule. You don't have to prove it applies. Just show that they didn't do what you asked them to do or what the rule suggested. So she, working with Ginger, she filed a motion to dismiss, which of course is based on, we're pointing out that the prosecution has failed to present a single fact that the Constitution and laws apply just because she's physically in Texas. And that's territorial jurisdiction. It also goes to a valid cause of action, and there being a valid cause of action, and also being it's adversarial, because it's an adversary proceeding. So to have a true adversary, you have to have the violation of legal right and damage, which here they're going to be claiming that the violation of legal right was not complying with the code, which they don't have any evidence to prove it applies. And, as we'll show, the judge agreed. So we'll put the motion up. There you go. Or well, no, we'll get that's the order from the judge. So again, this is from the Bexar County Justice Court, and as you see with this awesome Photoshop job, yes, I got the highlight there. So you can see in the highlighted area, the motion to dismiss was granted, and just for the critics, just to be sure, to take this, so it's not circumstantial evidence, it's direct evidence that the motion was granted because the motion has merit. I know that's going to enrage some YouTube commenters and critics, but whatever. It was dismissed for insufficient evidence. So I know critics are going to turn around and say, well, Mark, that's completely false. The judge, you have no evidence that the judge saw any merit in the motion. Yeah, we do. We kind of do. It's right here. It was so. I'm not saying it's the only explanation. That's not the only explanation available. That's not. I'm not saying that at all. Okay. I'm saying that the direct evidence shows that that's the most plausible. That's the most probable. I would say that 95% certain that you file a motion to dismiss based on a lack of evidence, and the judge grants it and says it's because of insufficient evidence. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that the evidence is direct there, and even if circumstantial, it's unbelievably strong. Yeah, I'm going to say that that's it. Not the only one, but that's the thing. The critics will turn around and try to convince people, especially people who are looking to defend themselves against these predators and not have to be ripped off by a member of the bar. This is proof that you can do it as a layman. Don't need to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on an attorney. You could do this yourself. This is just more evidence. We've done this on 3 continents already. So we've had success like this on 3 continents. And so it's misleading and a gross assumption to turn around and say that the judge did this for some other reason or another evidentiary reason. Now, it may be possible that the judge threw this out for a different evidentiary reason, but we don't have any evidence to suggest that. What we do have is, what we'll go through is, we'll look at the evidence. Admitting that there are other explanations. There are other explanations, but my position is it was granted because the motion we wrote is the reason for the granting, the dismissal. 1. Complaint was filed in court claiming the Constitution laws applied and that they were violated. 2. A motion to dismiss is filed showing the prosecution has no evidence to prove the Constitution and code applied, therefore there is no jurisdiction and no cause of action. 3. This is the big one. The judge grants the motion. And he actually is explicit, like we had a few months ago, showing it was for insufficient evidence. So whether you like it or not, there is not only one explanation. You can assume there's, it was for something other than what we presented, but the fact is he granted the motion. Lack of evidence. We don't have to make an inference or an assumption there. But if you claim something else happened, you have to. So your argument, or your conclusion, not very strong. Not nearly as strong as this one. So I know some are going to say, yeah, it's just a traffic ticket. Yes, that's true. But it's another example where a prosecutor can't prove what should be a simple thing, that their laws apply. It's one more of many examples of a layperson challenging a professional litigator, and they failed and had their complaint thrown out. It's another example where a layman or a laywoman has stood up to these criminals without a law degree and got a dismissal on their own. So whether it's a traffic ticket or not doesn't make, no, because she could have went to jail. Even if it was just for contempt. Or if she couldn't pay the fine, you go to jail. So, again, being an example where these criminals, professional litigators, can't prove that their rules apply to us, that's pretty significant, I believe, especially for a layman. So some may actually try to marginalize and say, yeah, you can win all these traffic tickets and get some drug things thrown out and get some IRS stuff thrown out, but what does it do in the long run, jerky? Well, the fact is, more people are seeing evidence that there is no government, that it's just men and women forcing us to pay them. They're seeing actual evidence of this. It's more proof that they can't prove that their sacred laws apply to us. So whether it's a traffic ticket or not, they can't make a case because there is no evidence that their rules apply to us. If you disagree, do what this prosecutor and judge couldn't do. Produce the evidence. And all you're doing by criticizing the work, by saying things like, well, look at all the people in prison. You're just making the case for me stronger. That they're criminals. That they have no evidence their laws apply. They're just violent thugs that throw you in jail if you don't do what they want. Keep saying that. Because honest people who are using critical thinking skills and not just taking the crap that you are throwing at them every day. They're actually questioning this. Those people can see through your lies. And this is more evidence of that a layperson without a law degree was able to get it thrown out for lack of evidence proving your sacred rules apply. That's pretty significant. And it's more people that are seeing them as just men and women and not a government. That there is no state, there is no government, there are no citizens. They are demonstrably false, which is why critics run away when they say, citizens exist whether you believe it or not, Mark. And you ask them, well, a citizen requires evidence of reciprocal obligations. Reciprocal obligations of allegiance and protection. Where is the evidence to prove that there's a duty of allegiance in return for duty of protection? Without that evidence, Everything you're saying is just words. There's nothing behind them. It's just like we've said so many times before. It is a fallacy of reification. You're taking something in your head that you think is true, and you're acting and thinking that it's real in the real world when you have no actual evidence to do that. It's all delusion. And you see, people already know that criminals use violence and aggression to get what they want. What we do with these videos and with this evidence proves and shows is that that principle applies to people even if they call themselves the government. Forcing strangers to give you money doesn't make you honorable. It makes you a crook. And you have to use a double standard and say, well, it doesn't apply to me. Fungal with your double standard. Rational people, honest people don't accept your double standard. And that's one of the purposes of doing the videos here, because more and more people who are challenging this and looking for the truth can see from the evidence, not because I said so, but they can see from the evidence that's on the site. So go ahead and try to marginalize it, because people who actually are thinking and questioning and not having such a closed mind, like the critics of the No State Project, thinking there's only one explanation, they're going to see the evidence. And you can't marginalize that away. And last, making a principle stand is worth it. It's something the critics don't do because they're comfortable. They're actually profiting off the system. So why are they going to attack it? Why are they going to see anything wrong with it? Just follow the law. Hey, all those people in prison prove that the laws apply. Bull. Argumentum ad baculum. Just because you put 1 million, 2 million people in prison doesn't mean a written instrument from 1787 applies to me, or the other one here in Arizona from 1910. But if you think otherwise, if you think that I am wrong on my analysis here, you think there actually is evidence that you don't have to assume the other explanations. We're live most Saturdays from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time here on the No State Project. And we're also going to be doing a live stream right here on YouTube on Wednesday afternoon. So you can check out markstevens.net for information, because if you've got the proof, if you've got the rationale, and you can explain it logically, I'd love to hear it. I'm not holding my breath, but you're still welcome to try. And my name is Mark Stevens. If you're being attacked, don't be intimidated by these people. It's very easy to show. All you have to do is ask them questions. Ask them to show you the proof. And they'll collapse. Not every time, but most time. And either way, you're going to be showing that you're dealing with criminals. And there's always merit in that. Again, the website is markstevens.net.